we're going to go ahead and get started here. We have an action-packed agenda, lots and lots to get to. But without further ado, this is Creating Marketing Efficiency, 5 strategies that work for today's leading Shopify brands. My name is Blake M. Pearl. I'm the VP of Marketing at Digio. We have an action-packed agenda with a lot of great people here to share some wonderful D2C insights with you. I'm going to let each guest introduce themselves before they present here, tell them a little bit about who they are to you. But we have some speakers from the best e-commerce software companies around today, many of which might even be in your tech stack already. So quickly, I'll run down the list. Again, let them introduce themselves later, but we have Eli Weiss, the VP of Customer Advocacy at Yotpo. We have Neil Goyle, the Director of Sales at Tapcart, Mia Healy, Director of Tech Partnerships at Triple Whale, and Aaron Duncan, the VP of Merchant Success at Rebuy. And again, I'm Blake M. Pearl, the VP of Marketing at Digio. So I want to go through some quick housekeeping rules here as we get into things. So to get the most out of today's session, there's a couple things to note here. So if you're joining us live, this will apply to you, but if you're also watching the recording later, much of this will apply to you there as well. So please enter all of your questions in the chat throughout the presentation. And also, we have representatives from each organization who'll be able to answer these questions in the chat feature. So as questions come up, please ask them there. Or if you're more comfortable in the Q&A, totally fine to do that as well there. We're going to have dedicated time at the end after every speaker has gone to do a little bit of a Q&A there to answer some of these questions live. You're also going to be getting a copy of the recording post-event here within 24 hours. So keep an eye with the email that you registered for this event there. This will also be on YouTube if you want to find it there. And if you're joining us live, you may have heard we are giving away lots of fun prizes today. We are giving away 5 $75 gift cards live on this call. So how can you win one? All you have to do is simply engage in the chat with us. So ask your questions, engage with your fellow peers and presenters, and you will automatically be entered to win one of these gift cards. So the way this will work is our speakers at the end of each presentation, they will have an appointed rep who will be in the chat to announce the winner in the chat. So again, just make sure you're engaging, asking questions, and let's make this a really great event for everyone here. And also, finally, we have one massive giveaway prize at the end. We are giving away a $200 gift card to one lucky participant here. We're taking our post-webinar survey. I'm going to drop a link to this at the end of the webinar here. So again, please do stick around for everyone here, and you'll be able to automatically be entered into that as well. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get into things. You might be asking yourself, what is marketing efficiency? Well, the way that we define that at Digio is that marketing efficiency is learning more about your customers pre-purchase and then being able to leverage that across your marketing funnel and your existing tech stack. So we're really committed to helping more D2C brands achieve this for their own stores here at Digio, but we've also assembled a group of our favorite technologies and friends, some of which, again, might already be in your tech stack today, to share how they also help with creating marketing efficiency. And, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but in a D2C climate where acquisition costs have risen, attention spans are shortening, and brand loyalty really is at an all-time low, the ability to be able to create an efficient marketing funnel is what really can separate inefficient versus efficient, overall just kind of customer retention. And so our hope today is you'll be able to walk away with some real tactical examples leveraged by brands just like you and able to implement that back into your own store. So I'm going to kick us off here with the first presentation. And I'm going to show you how to increase your store's conversion rates by over 300% in just 30 days. And I'm going to be doing this by breaking down Andy Swim's conversion funnel. And then I'm going to leave you with 6 takeaways that you can immediately implement to improve your email marketing, your SMS marketing, your mobile app strategy, and even your ads as well. So I'm Blake. I'm a D2C marketer who's worked at Shopify Plus brands like Autobrush before I ever made the jump over to eCom SaaS. But I've also worked at some companies that you might have in your tech stack today, like Attentive and Wonderment. And so I know we have a few Digio customers with us in attendance today, so big shout out to them and to everyone who's here with us. But if you aren't familiar with Digio, we're all about delivering time to value for our customers. We work with over 2,000 D2C brands like Andy Swim, Death Wish Coffee, and Dollar Shave Club to create marketing efficiency by gathering a lot of valuable zero and first-party data about a customer pre-purchase through campaigns and experiences, and then being able to leverage that across both the on-site experience and the off-site retargeting experience within email, SMS, mobile app, and ads. So my one thing I want to do, as I mentioned, is I want to show you how Andy Swim is doing all of this with Digio today. So this is Andy Swim. They're a global swimwear brand known for their stylish swimsuits that empower women of all shapes and sizes. And they really value themselves as being the internet's best shopping experience for swimwear through great quality and support. But Andy was facing some really common problems that you probably are experiencing for your own store today. And that is lower conversion rates and higher cart abandonment rates from customers that might never return again. And when you're navigating lots of products, in the case of Andy, with different sizes, colors, if you can't find what you're looking for quickly, it can be a huge conversion blocker for a shopper. And so their goal was to understand the reasons why cart abandonment was up, but then also take that action and then be able to create a great site experience that is highly converting, but also a great experience again for the customer. And so that's why Andy reached out to Digio to be able to partner on several things. And the first of which was an exit intent strategy. And so this is an exit intent form that Andy has on their website, and it's designed to understand, as a customer goes to leave the site, why did they decide to leave the site, really? And they ask one simple question: why did you decide to leave? And from that, they're able to understand a lot of valuable insights into customer hesitation. And what was really interesting about this specifically, you can see the questions they ask here, but they were able to understand, because they're a multinational brand, with Australia and the US being two major markets for them, they realized that they needed to adjust the website specifically to these markets from the on-site and the off-site experience. So really, this survey was able to help them capture a lot of information and then take action within their marketing funnel. So this was a big piece of them understanding more about their customers' behavior. But really, the thing that helped to accelerate on-site conversions was guided selling quizzes. And so Andy knew that a guided selling quiz could really help them hit on 5 major e-commerce goals for them. Make a product recommendation easy from a one-to-many approach, to be able to increase the on-site engagement, capture a lot of zero-party and first-party data about a shopper, to be able to leverage that then, all the data they captured, in their retention marketing, and then of course improve conversion rates and revenue across their entire funnel. So here's how they did it, with this very simple 5-question style finder quiz. And so they're able to break down a very massive product catalog into a short list of expert-made recommendations. And you can see they ask things like, hey, are you looking for a 1-piece or a 2-piece suit? What kind of occasion are you shopping for? What kind of support would you like? And then at the end of this quiz, they're also capturing an email address, which serves as a great list growth and retargeting tool. And then from this, they're able to then redirect every shopper to a native Shopify results page, which is optimized for checkout. And on this page, they're able to really show them what they matched with, what occasion these suits are for. And then if they don't know their size, they can even engage further and go find the exact right size for them. So this is a really great way for them to deliver a great experience, but then also learn a ton about what brought a shopper to the site and really what they're looking for. Another way that they're really improving knowing more about their customers is through the usage of this mini quiz here. So if you go to andyswim.com, you can actually see all these experiences today, but this is halfway down their homepage. And in one single question, you can see here, they're able to understand what brought the shopper in and then point them towards a logical collections page. So again, they have thousands of products, and be able to boil that down into really focused recommendations. Huge for creating motion on the site, gamifying shopping, and then also, again, capturing more data about their site visitor. So these two things are really massive for increasing on-site conversion rates. But what happens if a customer doesn't convert on day one? Well, the really great thing about this is they're capturing all this data and then an email address, which then can be passed into all of their retention platforms. So you can see here in the case of Andy, they're using Klaviyo as their ESP, but this could work across any ESP that you're using. They push all of this data that they're capturing from their quizzes and surveys into Klaviyo to create a lot of personalized messaging and trigger behavioral automations based on quiz submitted and other things. So these emails that Andy is sending are some of the most engaged emails that they send, because they're injecting data about a shopper, but also, again, they're behaviorally triggered. And these emails have seen over a 70% click-through rate, making them one of the best retargeting tools that they have. But also, again, they're highly optimized for conversion because they all link back to that results page that I mentioned earlier. And then also, this is really great if you're doing this for SMS and email as well, and can be set up within minutes once you have that quiz set up on site. So really effective for, again, increasing efficiency and helping to make retargeting even better. And what they've seen has been awesome. 55% increased year over year in revenue growth from their automated email flows, over 37,000 emails acquired, and then an overall increase across the whole marketing funnel of 343% increase in conversion rates. So quizzes can be really impactful for a D2C brand, whether you sell one product or 10,000, really use cases for everyone here. So I want to leave with one final takeaway here. We talked about all this data that we're capturing. How do we activate this data to make conversions increase in our retention marketing? So our email, our SMS, our ads, our mobile apps. Well, Digio captures all this data that makes it super easy for you to be able to take action on it. If you're one of the 1.8 billion Gmail users, you may have noticed now how easy it is to unsubscribe from a brand's email marketing. One click unsubscribe is a thing now. And so really, we do all this work to get a customer to our site and then to subscribe to our retention marketing. But oftentimes an unsubscribe can ruin that all. And really, if you're at batch and blasting or not able to use data intelligently, it can really make a fragmented email or any retention marketing experience. And so what we saw with Andy, they were able to capture all this data and then use it across their email. There's a lot of quick wins that we can do to really personalize all these retention marketing experiences. And so this is just 6 of, I would say, several dozen strategies. But one really quick win, if you're doing email marketing in your subject lines, we know how powerful subject lines are. So Digio captures all this data about a customer. You can insert that dynamically in your subject lines. For example, maybe your skincare brand and your subject line is new skincare. That's kind of vanilla. But if you know someone has dry skin, why not say new dry skin essentials? Subtle, but really important kind of differentiation there. Hide show blocks are really important in email marketing as well. So if you're using Klaviyo or any other ESP that does this, you can actually take known or unknown data and show or hide things based upon that. So say, for example, I just bought an Evenflow stroller. I've got a newborn. They might know from the quiz that I just took that I have a newborn born 2 months ago. And maybe now in all the emails, they're only showing me products for infants instead of toddlers, for example, or images that are only of infants and not toddlers. Subtle again, but really important to showing me what I already told them I want to know more about. If you're doing any kind of campaign-based messaging, another really great strategy is just to use all that zero-party data to combine things. So instead of just engaged or unengaged contacts, why not know, okay, this engaged contacts who have a newborn child. Really subtle again, but really important for differentiating on your copy. Speaking of copy, you can dynamically actually insert any of these attributes into your email and SMS platforms as well. So again, going back to that skincare example, maybe the headline on the email has a pain point that you know about them. So instead of just, shop our new products, you can dynamically insert the pain point, shop our new dry skin products, for example. Again, subtle, but really helpful in creating more efficient messaging. Within your ads platform too, you can actually send all this data to the ads platform to be able to show dynamic copy, imagery, etc. So if you know that they took this quiz and they said specific things, really reiterate that and show them more of what they already told you. And if you're using a mobile app with our friends like TapCart, for example, you can even send all of this data into segments and then be able to send push notifications based upon all the different segments that you can create with all this data. So really just scratching the surface, but just showing you can really deploy all this data across your retention marketing. And so I want to leave you with one final takeaway, and that's to create marketing efficiency. You really need to focus on learning more about your customers pre-purchase with things like quizzes and gamified campaigns, and then leverage that across the marketing funnel. I think we have the easy button at Digio, but at a bare minimum, I do recommend you think of clever ways to do this within your existing tech stack today. So if you want to learn more, you can just go to digio.com. You can scan this QR code here. We're happy to chat with you and just kind of give you a little bit of a consultation and learn more about how we can help you today. Anyway, thanks all. And I'm going to kind of get on to the next part of the presentation here. We're going to announce our gift card winner for this in the chat. But while I do that, I would like to bring up Aaron from Rebuy next. Aaron, can the people hear you?
Hello, hello. Stoked to be here.
Likewise, man. I am excited to have you here. If you want to go ahead and get screen share up.
Sweet. Yeah, we've got a stacked panel looking to drop some knowledge bombs here today. So I'm going to go ahead and share. All right, sweet. So I'm Aaron Dunca. I lead our merchant success and our launch teams at Rebuy. Prior to Rebuy, I had a 4-year run at Shopify, Shopify Plus. So I was working with a lot of merchants solving these big problems, right? Like marketing efficiency, e-com KPIs, how to best do those. And prior to that, I was actually a merchant. I was doing marketing for a small eyewear brand as well too. So today for this portion on marketing efficiency, what I wanted to talk about is how to leverage personalization to maximize your marketing efficiency. And um, I think like what I'll do is I'll first start off with kind of like why we're all here, or why I think you're here at least too, and that's obviously to increase marketing efficiency because of the rising acquisition costs that are happening. Like you just want to do more with less, and you want to get the best results for the investments you make, and those investments come in the form of dollars, they come in the form of time, they come in the form of mental energy, and then when you improve your marketing efficiency, you're making the most out of your ad dollars. You're making the most out of your email or SMS sends, or if you're on Tapcart, you're making the most of your push notifications and making most out of the traffic that hits your store to drive value for your customers, drive insights for your team, and ultimately, you want to drive some revenue for your business. So today, I'm going to show you how some of the smartest, fastest growing brands on the internet are doing this with Rebuy by creating smart shopping experiences, specifically focusing on optimizing the online store for experiences. So at the bottom of this slide, you'll see a few brands that use Rebuy to power their on-site personalization. Shout out to all the Rebuy brands in the audience today. We love you. Couldn't do any of this without you. But yeah, basically when we talk about on-site personalization, we're talking about things like product recommendations, search, merchandising, cross-sell, upsell, dynamic content. And we move on. I'll just share a little bit about kind of like why Rebuy exists. So like our mission is to create these smart shopping experiences. And we believe that when you execute on those smart shopping experiences thoughtfully and combine that with really smart merchandising logic, AI, machine learning, that brands are able to delight, convert, retain more customers, and then drive results and revenue for their brand. So here's an example of some of the outside outcomes that we'll see. We've got 10,000 brands using Rebuy, over $1 billion in merchant-driven revenue coming through our product and features. Average ROI 30 to 50x, and then the average AOV boost that we're seeing with brands using Rebuy is like 5%. Important to note that the AOV boost that we're noting here, that's across all of Rebuy. That includes brands that have just done like the bare minimum, haven't really activated as well too. It's not uncommon for us to see like a 15, 25% increase in AOV, and that's kind of like where our success team comes into play, just kind of democratizing some of the strategies that you can leverage that some of those top fastest growing brands are doing, and then sharing that with a wider audience as well too. So okay, this is all great, but you all are here because you want to know how, right? Like, how do we achieve these results? So to get an understanding of how, what I want to do is take a deep look at some of the problems that we're really looking to solve here at Rebuy when it comes to marketing efficiency. But before I jump into the main problem we're solving, everyone loves some good interactive content. Why don't we all sound off in the chat right now? I want to hear from you. What do you think of when you hear of the word personalization? Yeah. Sound off in the chat. I know for me, like instinctually, I'm like, oh yeah, personalization. So like, I don't know, like a custom jersey with like your last name on it, or maybe you're like monogramming a cup, or you've got like custom shoes or something. Um, Personalize it, right? But for me, in the context of ecom, when I think of personalization, I think of this as experience optimization. And I'll show you why, and then I'll show you a few ways in which it's done really, really well. So here is a few companies that I think do a really great job at experience optimization and personalization. So let's unpack the problem. Okay, so the big problem that we're seeing today is that the majority of online stores offer the same experience to their customers, and that leads to inefficiencies on your online store. So imagine this, been a long day at work, you log into Netflix, YouTube, Amazon, like your experience is going to be completely different from my experience. And that's actually a good thing. That's actually really, really powerful. But the problem is like, why are most online storefronts the same regardless of who's visiting, right? Like sometimes product recommendations aren't relevant. Sometimes they're not even controllable. So like, how do you personalize your online store to recommend products based off of how people click through to your store? Maybe the segment of the customer via tag that you already store in your Shopify account. Maybe that's loyalty tiers, interests, types of products they've purchased, what a customer is looking at, what they've looked at previously, what the customer has in their cart, what they're checking out with, what they just checked out with. So at Rebuy, we believe that when brands are able to do this, they should see outsized outcomes from their sales and marketing channels, and they should see increased marketing efficiencies. We also believe that if you're not personalizing, you are missing out on thousands of would-be customers. And this is the type of stuff that historically was like reserved for enterprise companies, like the Amazons and the Netflix of the world. Like if someone had told me in 2013, when I had my first Black Friday on the merchant side, that there's like something that could give me Amazon-like functionality with an ROI guarantee that starts at like 99 bucks a month, I would have been like, there is nothing on the market that does that. So while like customer acquisition costs are rising, one really great thing is like technology is moving along with that, and we're finding ways to combat that. And I think like that's the beauty of this webinar that we're all at right now too. So today, Revi's here to help brands do more with less, democratize this type of functionality for stores through personalization and smart shopping experiences. Okay, so going back to personalization, I like to think of personalization again as like this experience optimization. And when you do that right, you should see improvements in any e-commerce KPI, like conversion rate, lifetime value, AOV, returning customer rate. There's no e-com KPI that great personalization cannot improve. If you think about it, okay, so like imagine you're entering a cafe or a restaurant, right? Like the waiter understands your order. They make tailored recommendations based off of your preferences. And then maybe when you come back, you see the same waiter, right? Like they remember you, they know what you liked the last time, and they can predict what they might want. Like that's the role that Rebuy wants to play in your online store. So when we hit the customer with the right offer at the right time in the customer journey, we can create massive marketing efficiencies for brands. And the brands that do this the best are focusing on optimizing experiences at each step of the customer journey. So here is where we operate in the life cycle of the customer. And here's where we believe that personalization is important. And if the flowchart is just too busy to go through, I'll make it really quick. It's everywhere, right? Like you've all heard the quote, be where your customers are. So that's where we build. We build at every step of the customer journey from homepage, search, collection, product page, cart, checkout. And each step can be optimized through personalization and smart merchandising. Well, I can go into like each of the steps here for days. Today we're talking about focusing on marketing efficiency. So I'm going to zoom through kind of like a few key areas where I feel like all brands should be looking at to create marketing efficiency. And that's where your customer is landing, the cart, the checkout, and the post-purchase. And just like it's Rebuy's mission to democratize this type of technology, I'm going to democratize some strategy for you all here today. And we're going to go through Momofuku. Okay, so this is the story about Momofuku. One of the big inefficiencies they had before they turned to Rebuy in 2022 was the turnaround time that it took for their dev team to get the right products recommended in the right time. Their team was very innovative, really smart. They wanted to move fast and be agile. And I remember chatting with them. I was looking at their site and saying like, wow, like this looks great. It's beautiful. Like you've got product recommendations in the right spot. You've invested in good merchandising. It looks great on site. And I think the tricky thing is, and in order to create marketing efficiency, like you need the data, right? Like the performance data wasn't super easy to extract, and they lacked a solution to effectively facilitate these kind of like gift with purchase promotions with clean data in an agile manner. So they ended up working with our success, our launch team. They created these really efficient and optimized experiences. They ended up swapping out their cart for Rebuy Smart Cart, which you can see over here, added us to checkout, post-purchase, a few spots on their PDP as well too. And then they had this vision for their gift with purchases. So the background context here is think about Momofuku. Okay, start with David Chang. They've got a restaurant and they're going D2C for all of these pantry essentials, and all of these pantry essentials are complementary. And their team knew that the customer retention rate increases when customers try products from more than one category. So we're talking about like the chili crunches, the noodles, the dry spices, the soy sauces. And they knew that gift with purchase offerings would help them better curate the journey to make that happen. So they went to work and set up a gift with purchase that automatically adds specific products based off of like UTM criteria that's in the URL that's sent through like their marketing. So I'm gonna drop this link in the chat right now so that you all can experience this live while I chat through this. But the quick and dirty on the gift with purchase is, okay, you use rebuy, you set up a few rules as to when the product should be recommended, or in this case, auto added. So maybe it's like if the customer is purchasing a specific product, if they're looking at a specific product, if they're coming from a specific traffic source, and then they execute these campaigns via their SMS, email, and or like paid marketing channels. The customer segment is then defined in their marketing tech, and that determines the UTM that they get. So like if I've purchased noodles in the past, then we're going to cross-sell something else or cross-gift something else in that. And then they press go, they print money, and they iterate. So yeah, if you guys are checking out this experience live, here's what you're likely seeing, and we'll go into some of the results as well too, is you're seeing this experience here. So we get the text message, we open it up, we see, oh, add one more item to make it free. Rebuy is now cross-selling the product to make it really free, frictionless, super easy to add those products that we know are complementary, are going to complement our e-com KPIs, are going to delight our customers. And here's what we see. So like 10% increase in conversion rate from the campaigns, that's significantly higher. They've got over 14,000 customers that have hit those order thresholds, converted to claim that gift with purchase. And they're experimenting with quite a few different experiences to help drive these outcomes as well too. But what I really like most about this experience is how they've optimized for their customers, right? Like the link drives them immediately into the cart with a gift there, instructing the customer to just like add one more item to make it free. They make it really easy to add complementary products and get free shipping. And the main purpose for this add one other item to make it free is because they know that if they're able to cross-sell across categories, that should be a good long-term win for them. The other really cool thing that I learned after chatting with their team is they also have multiple gift with purchase links to personalize the experience and offer the product that best complements the initial purchase. And they also send these out on birthdays. So this is like a nice little birthday surprise. So yeah, everyone, if you're in there, the chili crunch from Momofuku, it's bomb. Claim that gift with purchase if you want to, but yeah. So the gift with purchase is like one strategy, and I think it's a really innovative, really great use of the product. And I want to say like that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like we talked about optimizing all of these other spots, but by continuously testing, optimizing every spot of your customer journey, like the gains you make at the top of the funnel, those can be compounded with intentional and smart merchandising at the checkout and the post-purchase step of the customer journey. So you'll see some product recommendations in checkout after a customer converts. We're like, hey, like here's another complimentary product special offer. And by doing so, Momofuku has realized over an 8% conversion rate from their post-purchase offers, which are 100% incremental revenue, right? Marketing efficiency there. That revenue is otherwise left on the table. And on top of that, they've generated over 30K in revenue from coming from their checkout recommendations in a matter of months, right? So shout out to Emma, Gianna, Kyle on the Momofuku team for hooking me up with a story here. We love Momofuku at Rebuy. And this is experience optimization that drives results and experience optimization that allows you to do more with less. So we're going to do this one again. Maybe your answer is going to be different. But this one is for a $75 gift card. Sound off in the chat. What do you think of now when you hear the word personalization? So personalization is experience optimization. Experience optimization is marketing efficiency. And this is Rebuy. So yeah, if you all want to check out Rebuy, improve marketing efficiency, optimize every step of your customer journey, book a demo with our team. We're really nice. Like we really just want to help you all make money. That's really at the heart of it. Yeah, super fun to work with. We want to help you solve your problems. And then speaking of money, I think we've got our gift card winner. We're going to announce that in a bit. So yeah, I am going to pass the torch then.
Awesome, Aaron. That was great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Always great to hear from the Rebuy team and tons of good stuff. Momofuku is a fantastic brand, a big favorite of mine. I'm going to bring up Mia now to the stage. Mia, can the people hear you?
Hello, everyone.
Amazing. The stage is all yours.
Beautiful. All right. I'm so happy to be here. Let me go ahead and pull up my screen and we will get into this. All right. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be diving into a review 5 data-driven insights to scale your brand from 0 to 4.5 million, which I feel like everyone on this call is like, yes, how can I get an easy 4.5 million this year? So let's go ahead and chat about it. Before we dive in, who am I? Why should you care about what I have to say? So I've been in this industry for the last 5 years. I actually started out on the brand side of things where I worked for both a skincare brand and a fitness startup and managed their partnerships. Then I was like, ooh, tech looks interesting. So then I pivoted and I was interested in the tech side of things. So I've been working with a few different tech companies. Fast forward to present day, and I am now the director of tech partnerships here at Triple Whale. I'm based in Orlando, Florida. I saw in the chat there's a couple different people joining us from Florida. So hello, fellow Floridians. I've been here for the last 4 years with my 2 little cats, Dylan and Lily. And when I'm not working, you can usually find me either reading. You can see my big library back there, either reading, writing, or lots of online shopping, which is why I definitely enjoy this industry so much. And I cannot stress this enough. I have so much admiration and respect for all of you founders, owners, and operators. Y'all are killing it building all of these amazing brands. So I cannot stress enough how much I admire you all. So first and foremost, what even is Triple Whale? I'm going to breeze right through this just to give you all an understanding of the angle that I'm taking with this presentation. So Triple Whale just basically makes it really easy for you to understand who your customers are and where your customers are coming from. We bring in the metrics and attribution metrics that matter most to you in one easy to use dashboard. It's basically your central source of truth for all of the data that matters most to you so you can make better data-driven decisions. Again, basically, we just make it really easy to understand which of your campaigns are actually working, which ones aren't, and where you can scale. And we work with over 11,000 Shopify and Shopify Plus brands. So you can see a couple brands here that y'all are probably familiar with, like True Classic Teas, Chamberlain Coffee, Olipop, etc. All right, so today's presentation is going to be focused around Create creatine gummies. For anyone who's not familiar with the brand Create, they are amazing. Again, they make creatine gummies, so they are in the health and wellness space. And we're going to be talking about the marketing strategy that helped them scale from 0 to 4.5 million in their first year. So if you're a growing brand or a brand that's already established, these tips will for sure help you inform your 2024 and 2025 marketing strategy. Especially as crazy as it is to say this, we're going into holiday season. I feel like this year just started, but holiday is right around the corner. So I actually have some tips in here that they used from Black Friday, Cyber Monday last year that were really beneficial for them. So we'll chat about that too. All right, so insight number 1. You already know I'm going to be starting things off with why data is important and how to use that data and why it's key for your brand's financial health. So our insight number 1 here is balancing your top line growth and healthy margins. So Create's strategy is really centered around driving maximum top line growth while really ensuring a healthy contribution margin. So they focus on optimizing both product sales and profitability while also balancing really aggressive market acquisition with careful financial management. So what does that mean? Basically, how can they make as much money as possible and reach as many customers as possible without sacrificing a ton of budget on customer acquisition costs? Like Blake mentioned in the beginning of today's webinar, customer acquisition costs are through the roof right now, right? So how can you effectively acquire your customers without blowing your budget? So I saw in the chat that Dean had asked about what key metrics to focus on to increase your marketing efficiency and to better scale your marketing campaigns. So here's a couple metrics that Create is using on a daily basis. So the first one being total business net revenue. This is going to be a combination of their Shopify and Amazon sales refined by deducting their discounts, returns, and refunds. Then they're looking at blended return on ad spend, so their blended ROAS. This is going to be an overarching view of their total spend across all channels, including Amazon. And then we have contribution margin. This is going to be a measure of gross margin minus ad spend. So this is going to be providing a nice snapshot of their financial health. And then lastly, we have marketing efficiency ratio, or MER. So this is the percentage of revenue that's being spent on advertising. It really serves as a primary indicator for assessing Create's business health, balancing top line growth and profitability, and effective ad spending. Next, we have insight number 2, create monthly reoccurring revenue with subscriptions. So Dan, who is Create's co-founder and CEO, really emphasizes the importance of a subscription offering for any brand, even if the product really isn't like a natural fit for subscriptions. So it's really vital for monetizing customers over a longer period and not relying solely on one-time purchases. Approximately 50% of Create's revenue actually comes from monthly subscriptions, and they use Recharge. So if you are able to offer some sort of subscription with your product offering, I highly recommend exploring this. Dan even said, like, even if your product isn't a natural fit, try finessing it a little bit, see what happens. And there's a variety of really great tools out there that can actually make subscriptions really easy for you, like Recharge, Skio, Smarter, etc. All right, insight number 3, focus on increasing your AOV, or in Create's case, maintaining a $100 plus AOV. So Dan advocates for increasing AOV as a key part of their strategy. So Create boosts their AOV, or their average order value, through product bundling, offering 2 or 3 months supply of creatine gummies in one order. So this approach simplifies logistics and marketing efforts, right? Because when you have higher order values, create higher margins and reduce the need to acquire as many customers for the same revenue. So their starter pack is a really great example of their products bundling. Your brand can start doing this by, and here comes the data, by analyzing which of your products are most frequently purchased together and bundling them. Super easy. Or you can offer limited edition variations of your best-selling products, whether that be like an increase, like a jumbo size of your best-selling product, or some sort of like new cool limited edition packaging. The top performing brands know that effectively increasing their AOV is going to give them a stronger ROAS and more margin to the bottom line. All right, insight number 4, launch a new product during a high intent period. So Create introduced a new flavor, their Blue Raz flavor, during a period of high customer interest and intent. So they released this during holiday shopping season. So this added a fresh element to Create's marketing strategy that capitalized on customer anticipation and differentiated the brand from typical discount offers. So again, holiday season is kind of like right around the corner. So if you have some new product offerings up your sleeve, it might be worth maybe saving one of those launches for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and capitalizing on the customer anticipation. This was a strategy that worked really well for Create last year. And then our last insight number 5, offer a gift with purchase for Black Friday. Erin mentioned it, gift with purchases are super, super key. And this was also a key strategy for Create's marketing strategy as well. So as part of their Black Friday promotions, Create used a gift with purchase strategy. So this approach not only differentiates their offers from standard discounts, but also enhances customer engagement as well. So receiving a limited edition item like a hat or a gym towel, because Create is in the health and wellness space, turns customers into, brand ambassadors, and really encourages repeat purchases and subscription retention. I don't know about y'all, but I love a gift with purchase. So when Erin was talking about the chili oil, I was like, sign me up. It really does stand out amongst the crowd, because consumers, I feel like we're all drowning in like 10% off, 15% off, 20% off promos. So the brands who kind of like spice things up and offer a really good gift with purchase can definitely stand out. The key here is to actually offer a good gift with purchase. I can tell you, I literally can't tell you the amount of times like I have like tiny little samples and stuff like that, or like little tchotchkes I don't really use, but like a cool tote bag or a free full-size product, that's definitely worth it in a lot of consumers' eyes. And that brings us to our final takeaways. So again, just like rounding up all of those insights that I talked about. Insight 1, balancing top line growth and healthy margins by staying on top of your brand's key metrics. An e-com analytics and attribution tool like Triple Whale makes this very easy, wink, wink. If your brand has a product that can be offered as a subscription, definitely explore offering a subscription model. Focus on increasing your AOV in every single way possible. This is honestly, out of everything that you can take away from this presentation, I'd really focus on that, increasing your AOV. This year has been kind of difficult for e-com brands, but the brands who have been able to create new bundles have been able to find ways to increase their AOV. We've been seeing a lot of success with here at Triple Whale. The next insight, launch new products during high intent periods. And then lastly, standing out against the crowd by offering a juicy gift with purchase this holiday season. And all of those tips and best practices that I shared regarding Create Success were all made possible by Triple Whale. So if you are interested in getting started with Triple Whale for free, we offer a completely 100% free analytics dashboard. Go ahead and scan that QR code and book some time to chat with our team and learn about how we can help your brand to get a nice, easy 4.5 million in revenue this year. And with that said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And in the chat, my colleague Erin, she's going to drop the giveaway winner for today's $75 gift card. But yeah, it's been great.
Thanks so much, Mia. I really appreciate that. That was an awesome presentation. As always, Triple Whale always shows up and delivers the value. Highly recommend if y'all haven't to. The Whaleys is a great event. I know there's some stuff going on later in the summer as well. So definitely check those out. A lot of great networking opportunities there. But thanks again, Mia. That was awesome. I'm going to bring up my friend Neil to the stage next. And while Neil gets his slides up, I just want to call out to everyone. This is our marketing efficiency webinar. The chat has been awesome. Please keep asking questions. That is the way to win one of these gift cards, but also make sure we're asking and getting our questions answered. We are going to have a little bit of dedicated Q&A time at the end too for our panelists to kind of go through some of these questions one by one. But if we don't get to yours, we'll also follow up post-event with you as well. Neil, the stage is yours, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much, Blake. Can you see my screen all right?
I can. It looks great.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So excited to see everyone here. Quite frankly, it's an absolute privilege to be here, being able to speak alongside some individuals that I really respect and admire in the space. So thank you so much for joining us today. We've heard a common theme here in terms of the overall concept of revenue efficiency. And so as we kind of get started in talking about different ways of uncovering that, I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Neil, Director of Sales here at Tapcart. I've been in the mobile app space for almost 6 years now. One of the things that I love doing is surrounding myself with Shopify merchants, largely by virtue of almost every single one of these brands were built out of a basement or a garage and have scaled through pure hustle and grit. And I just love being surrounded by these individuals. So with that said, when we think about the concept of revenue efficiency, it's a topic that's more pressing now more than ever. Why? When you think about who's making the decisions right now, we think it's less marketing teams, more CFOs. When we think about the environment that we're in right now, we think about costs going up and profits becoming more slim. So the overall goal here, we saw Erin talk about this, we saw Mia talk about this, Blake mentioned this, the concept is to be able to do more with less, right? And what's the culprit here, right? The culprit is all about those rising customer acquisition costs. I think when you think about understanding where we are in that journey, it's worth revisiting the clock or rewinding the clock here and seeing how it all started with iOS 14 and how those changes to privacy really impacted the ability for marketers to be able to target their audience, right? And as we saw those limitations come into the fold, we saw that conversions were dropping, we saw customer acquisition costs continuing to rise, then we continued to experience more algorithm changes that kind of keeps our marketers guessing over the course of time. And so what we have here is really no end in sight for these customer acquisition costs to rise. In fact, hey, right here and now, we are in an election year. And as we know, in election years, those customer acquisition costs, particularly on Facebook Meta, are going to increase 60%. From now through November, right? And that's even before peak season, right? So the real question is, how do we go about solving this, right? And there's one way. Like many times we often default to like, hey, this tool will help me and this tool will help me to solve this customer acquisition challenge. And that's true. A lot of these will, right? But more than that, it requires a recognition, right? Understanding what is the problem we're looking to solve and actually putting ourselves in the mindset of how to go about solving it and making that a part of every single business motion that we embark on, right? When we think about the customer, right now it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. If we can just embody that thought process through everything we do, it makes the concept of these rising customer acquisition costs a lot more digestible, a lot more manageable, right? So what this means is that when we think about the margins becoming more thin from these rising costs, what is the one thing that will ultimately drive profitability? Let's say louder, LTV, right? LTV, in my view, is the only path to true sustainable and scalable profitability, right? So when you think about LTV, you're thinking about that retention strategy. So retention strategy, often when you have a conversation with a brand, hey, what is retention? What are you doing for retention right now? You often get a pretty one-dimensional answer. You typically get, oh, I do email and SMS, right? Well, yes, those are both incredibly valuable. They all have a role in the retention strategy. But what's worth really understanding is retention actually has multiple facets to it, right? But at the very core, before we put any type of retention marketing tactic, strategy in place, at the very core, the foundation is an amazing product with an elite experience, right? None of these marketing strategies are actually going to mean anything if we haven't prioritized product and our customer experience, right? When you think about three different pillars in which retention falls under, right? But first, we think about the customer experience, right? What are the things we're doing to interact with the customer, making the customer experience better? That means our customer support channel. That means listening to our customer. That means collecting the data after we listen, and then actually putting that data to use through personalization, right? The second pillar, we think of the channels and tools, right? The tech stack that we're leveraging as a part of the retention strategy. So we're thinking obviously our website, right? We're thinking our mobile app. We're thinking third-party channels like maybe Amazon, right? We're thinking subscriptions or loyalty programs, right? These are all the parts of the tech stack that speak to, what we're integrating into the specific experiences. And then the third pillar is the messaging mechanism, the retention marketing messaging mechanisms. Here's where we're thinking email, SMS, push notifications, direct mail as the different avenues to have conversations with the customers, right? So the question is, where does a mobile app fit into all this equation, right? And more importantly, what makes a mobile app help a brand become more efficient, right? It's first the recognition of understanding like where all your customers are, right? All of your customers are staring at their devices for 4.5 hours every day. In fact, the average iPhone user opens up their phone 344 times per day, right? I know that's kind of a gross stat, right? But when you think about it, this is the brand's opportunity to truly capitalize and saying, hey, if my customer is visiting my brand on mobile, how do I give them the most elite experience on mobile? And many times we think about, hey, what are the different improvements I can do to the do to my website? And yes, you absolutely should make those improvements to the website. But regardless, the concept of selling on mobile is really big challenge, right? The average brand on Shopify currently has a 76% abandoned cart rate on mobile, right? So you have 90%, 80, 90% of traffic coming on mobile, and 76% of your customers have become so high intent that they added something to the cart, and 3 out of 4 are walking away without purchasing. That's a problem. That's a problem that needs to be fixed. Now, there's certain parts at the top of the funnel when you're acquiring that first customer. It's hard, right? It's hard to manage that intent all the way through to the conversion. But for your returning customers, that definitely shouldn't be the case. In fact, the more glaring and concerning fact is that your returning customer, the customer that has already bought from the brand before, is abandoning your cart at the rate of 66%. Right? That's still over half of your carts being abandoned by customers that have already bought from you, right? So this is where we want, when you think about the concept of an app, once you get your customer into the funnel, where does it specifically fit in? And more importantly, how is it going to improve your different metrics and your efficiency over the course of that, right? First, it's understanding the first metric where you're going to see a huge lift, right? Once your customer downloads the app, they're going to visit the brand at minimum 3 times more frequently than that same customer was before, if not 4, 5, or 6 times, right? How do we know that this is going to happen? It's just a function of living on the device home screen. You are simply capitalizing on the most valuable piece of real estate that you could possibly own, right? So now those customers are visiting more frequently or clicking into the brand more frequently. Then you will end up converting at a higher rate, right? Converting at a 40% higher rate compared to your website. Now you're thinking, hey, obviously it's more high intent customer. Of course, they're going to convert at a higher rate. No, we're talking an apples to apples comparison. That same customer, the sessions that they were visiting and the rates that they were visiting as a cohort, now they download the app. And now by removing the friction points, I mean loading times, I mean number of clicks to the checkout, the concept of signing in, right? Signing in, like you want to check your loyalty points, you want to check, redeem your rewards. How do you do that? You have to go back and log into your account. Well, that's 4 or 5 or 6 clicks there. Whereas when was the last time you were logged out of Amazon? It's just never happened, right? So you're removing certain friction points of the sale and for that returning customer. And then lastly, you're going to increase your AOV. Think of how many times we go to Amazon. We go there looking for one thing, and then we end up adding a second or third item to the cart over the course of the purchases because Amazon made it so easy, right? This is the exact experience that we're looking to bring in. So you have those users visiting more frequently, they're converting more frequently at higher AOVs, and the net outcome is a huge lift in LTV. In other words, our goal is to unlock, on average, about 240% more dollars from your existing customer than that previous customer was spending before, right? This is the holy grail of LTV, right? The goal to get your customers to develop an experience that they absolutely love and have them come back and convert more often, spend more frequently, and engage with the brand in a bigger way, right? Now, when you think of, okay, great, now I'm increasing revenue, I'm increasing my LTV. It's not just the revenue at all costs. It's also comparing, like, what does it do in terms of the cost to manage this channel and channel relative to other channels, right? So when you think of these other channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok Shops, YouTube, Google, right? All of these are channels that are becoming increasingly more costly. Yet your mobile app, that is an audience that you own, and your costs are very predictable year after year without a constant increase, right? Now, what is the end outcome? When you see TapCart, I think a lot of brands are like, okay, is an app even right for me? Is like, do people even download apps? Well, the net outcome, if you look at TapCart's entire platform in sum, is that we've had 70 in just 2023 alone. We've had 71 million users inside one of TapCart's apps, right? 71 million people have downloaded and used an app on TapCart. That's a huge audience, right? And those 71 million users have now contributed over 1 billion sessions in 2023 alone, 1 billion sessions to the brand. And every single one of those sessions, what did the brand have to pay to drive those sessions? $0. Why? Because you're just capitalizing on the most valuable piece of real estate, living where that customer's eyes are. And then when you think about the marketing messaging mechanisms, those push notifications, we sent $6.3 billion push notifications just in the last year. That's a huge number. What did it cost to send those push notifications? Absolutely $0, right? So it's not just the concept of driving revenue, it's also the driving revenue at what cost. And so when you think of this tool, you think of it as a mechanism that's going to be your highest profit channel as a result, right? Some other stats, we've had 14 million orders in 2023 alone, amounting to $2 billion of GMV. That's $2 billion. There's no question on that attribution. This is $2 billion that did not go through a brand's website. This is $2 billion that instead went through one of the brand's mobile apps. When you think of all of the GMV flowing through Shopify right now, and then you see actually 2 billion of that GMV didn't flow through a website, it actually flowed through an app on TapCart. It really puts into perspective the scale that we bring to the Shopify ecosystem and our Shopify merchants, right? So the outcomes here, we've seen amazing brands like LSKD, Princess Polly, leverage the tool of an app to not only enhance their customer experience, but bring an LTV that makes marketing managers, directors of e-commerce look like absolute kings and queens. Our goal is to ultimately boost revenue while reducing spend in that process. And ultimately, the goal is do more with less, right? That is the mantra of this year, as every one of our awesome panelists have shared. So with that said, I want to thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation or chat or presentation. And John is going to be announcing our gift card winner. Our gift card winner is going to be determined by answering the following question. How many push notifications did TapCart send in 2023? Would love to hear that answer in the chat. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And now I would love to hand it off to a good friend and an individual I admire so much, the GOAT of all things great, Eli Weiss.
Wow. Some challenging players to live up to. Hang tight. Let me share my screen.
Folks, while I call out to while Yale's getting that up, we are still running. We're going to go a little bit over the hour here. I please do encourage you all to stay for Eli. He's got some really great stuff to share. And then at the end of this, if we do have a little bit of time, we're going to get to QA. And then we're also going to give away that $200 gift card. But please stick around for Eli. He's got a lot of great stuff to bring here. Eli, all you, my friend.
Thank you, Blake. So a couple of things. First of all, I am outside of the US. It's about 8 p.m. here. So I am struggling to bring the heat and the energy that some of you all brought today. But let's give it a go. A lot of the context here that I'm sharing today doesn't come directly from my time at Yeppo. I've only been here for a handful of months. Most of it comes from my experience on the brand side, a little bit about me. I spent almost a decade in e-commerce. Was employee number 16 or 17 at Olipop in the early days, 2020. Saw that go from a couple of $1 million in revenue to much higher. It's now, I think they're probably going to do 500 million this year. So really kind of saw the chaos of Olipop, and then after that, I joined Jones Road again, kind of employee number 15 or 16. Saw them go from 20 million to 9 figures. So really kind of saw retention go from a little speck on the map to something much more impactful. A lot of us touched on this, but I think the e-commerce chaos of 2010, 2015, 2020, kind of Allbirds opening hundreds of stores and Outdoor Voices being everywhere, and kind of like the early days, the heyday of Facebook ads where you spent $1, you made $5. Those days for most of us have long gone, and I know Mia touched on AOV, obviously a massive kind of lever to pull to get your dollars that you spend bring more value over time. I don't have to continue kind of hammering the point of what we've seen in e-com, but I will say that what we've seen over time is that the importance of retention is super important. I'd say 15, 20 years ago, retention was a CRM manager, an email manager, just hit send a bunch of times until kind of people either purchased by submission or got pissed off and unsubscribed, and you never saw them again. And retention has massively evolved into a much more strategic role where it's not just email, it's not just SMS, it's not just push, it's being much more thoughtful and strategic around every part of the customer journey. And we talk about great retention and how important it is. But in a survey that Yeppo ran, and this has been my experience in talking to retention managers, the bar is very low. Most people have no idea what a great retention strategy looks like. Most retention managers just send emails and send texts. They have a forecast and a budget, and they just kind of use that to push and pull to build any kind of sort of strategy and structure. But realistically, most marketers don't have a strong plan for a retention strategy and improving where they are. Sign up for almost any brand. You'll see that they're doing the same thing they did 5 years ago. They still full blast. I mean, brands that are doing very, very well on paper are still sending one email to everyone on their list. And if people unsubscribe, then so be it. We're seeing brands offering the same incentive, the same sign up, whatever bonus to everyone on their list. We're seeing brands recommend the same product. Mia mentioned that as well, on kind of like the idea of kind of thinking about what product should you recommend based on what people have purchased. Most brands aren't doing that, and most brands are not being strategic or thoughtful about any of this. What we do know about retention is that it's not just one thing. So the thing I like to talk about is that 90% of retention is a great product. So Apple is not out here spamming people to get them to buy the new AirPods. But most brands aren't Apple, and most brands, in order to be strategic and thoughtful, need to go wider and need to think about every part of the customer journey. So it's not just the product, it's the ops, it's the unboxing, it's the customer experience, it's everything together. And to be fair, even within the realm of retention, everyone you talk to, if you ask them, if you were able to press a button and send the ideal message to the right customer at the right time, would you do that? The answer is, of course. We're not all kind of monsters that want to spam everyone's inbox. But what we do know is when we send the message to everyone, eventually it hits the right person and it works. And being strategic around flows and personalization and all that is really hard. And the reason why people do it is not because they're lazy, it's because they have other things that they could probably be doing instead. And I'm here to try to give you some strategic guidance on what thinking differently could look like. And you can implement as little or as much as you'd like, and you don't have to use any products or services necessarily to do 90% of this stuff. So hopefully you leave with this better understanding what retention could look like. Now, if we kind of zoom out for a second, retention is understanding deeply that people have a different experience based on who they are, where they came from. And that could have to do with the place they live. It can have to do with their socioeconomic background. It can have to do with a lot of things, but we do have these pointers and we have these kind of leading indicators that tell us more about a customer, and we're doing almost nothing with it. So for example, somebody purchases something on your store, they purchase a cleanser and they rate it 5 stars. You know, with somewhat accuracy, you know that this person probably liked the product. At the very least, at the very most, they like the entire experience. And that's a massive miss that almost nobody does. Personalized, segmented campaigns to people that have rated your product well. And then the flip side of that is if somebody gave you a 1 star, being thoughtful around win backs based on, you know, if it's in subscriptions, it might even be based on their cancellation reason, but being thoughtful around if somebody gave you a 1 star and in the review they mentioned that the reason why they gave you a 1 star is because it wasn't ideal for their skin because their skin is dry, it's a perfect opportunity to kind of hit them back with a product that's great for oily skin. That's a lot of the reasons why people love quizzes, because you can collect that information pre and you can kind of utilize that to be thoughtful around the service recovery. We've seen that at Olipop where people that hated one flavor for a very specific reason, maybe it was too bitter, we were easily able to hit them back with strawberry vanilla and they became the biggest super fans ever because it was thoughtful and it was a plain text email that, shocker, they weren't the only one to get. So it felt like they were the only one to get, but being thoughtful is more important than anything else. In general, I think something I've learned over the last couple of months / 2-3 years is that the more you see of the customer journey, the more touch points you have in one place, the better idea you have as to like, where should I personalize and how hard should I go or how hard could I go? The second kind of, to me, really important piece of this is their behavior. Like I said, Mia touched on this earlier, but I think it's way easier to encourage more of the same existing behavior than creating net new ones. As marketers, we sometimes say like, oh, I want them to buy the whole bundle. But like, no, not everyone wants to buy $900 of supplements just because it works well for your CAC, right? So I think the logic that we better understand as retention marketers is it's easier to kind of get people to repurchase the same thing they've purchased in a lot of cases, or in the same category, than it is to kind of push them to go wide because based on your analytics, you saw that might work long-term, but you have to be strategic around like, how far do you want to go on that? So their existing behavior, what they've purchased, what are the sequences? So if they purchased X in product 1, what are they purchasing in order number 1? What are they purchasing in order number 2? For us, you know, we saw at Jones that, you know, people that purchased, for example, a bronzer in order number 1 were very, very likely to purchase the foundation in order number 2. So creating a flow that took them there without trying to upsell them 100 other things was the easiest, most frictionless, seamless way to get them to repurchase. And then I think, you know, testing and iterating, testing quickly became like subject line and preview testing, but realistically, the things that really matter are positioning and being thoughtful around what is the message you're trying to convey and to who should it go to. And I think kind of like iterating on that has been really meaningful. We're talking about efficiency, so I wanted to pull an example or two on efficiency specifically. You know, Umzu is a very large supplement brand that again has kind of thought about engagement level as a proxy to these people are potentially interested in purchasing with us, and by kind of going harder on the engaged audiences and kind of letting the other ones simmer, they've been able to see like a very, very large increase in ROI from email and SMS just by paying. You know, essentially when you pay for what you're using, then using it in the right spaces is obviously impactful. And Aviator Nation kind of similarly was able to think about behavior and say, hey, if these customers are in the loyalty program versus customers that are new shoppers, and kind of being strategic and thoughtful and tailoring experiences have seen like a doubling in their conversion rate, which again, for every email that doesn't convert, it's a touch point where there's a chance you push them along the journey. There's a chance you're just creating unnecessary friction by bombarding them with messages that aren't helpful. So kind of letting the data tell you the story is more impactful than kind of trying to change behavior. And the last thing I'd say is behavior with your store. So something that I've been thinking about as somebody, both Jones and Olipop didn't have loyalty programs, and I had my own thoughts about loyalty program in general, and then kind of you're seeing the back end of it and seeing what works and what doesn't work. It's very clear that the brands that think strategically around engagement, behavior, extension of the brands that are thinking about how can I use data to push already existing behavior? How can I create unique bundles for people that are part of or not part of a loyalty program? And we've seen kind of like Princess Polly, to me, is a good example of a brand that is, Skims is not a Yuppo customer, but also a great example of somebody that has been super thoughtful about creating an extension of their brands and not just creating a transactional, you give me a like, I give you points. I think just leveraging the behavior of the store. I'd say again, kind of like Aviator Nation for us is a perfect example of a brand that's kind of thinking in general. I think they think really strategically around their in-store versus online and how those two worlds combine, which is a very, 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 very difficult operation. We had 5 stores at Jones, and that was like the biggest kind of strategic path was how do we create those journeys. But they've kind of been able to massively boost frequency by thinking strategically around tiers and programming and kind of building something that's sustainable, not something that's just thoughtful for them, but thoughtful for their audience. I'd say the last thing to pull this all together is something that excited me about joining a company that's building everything in one integrated stack is obviously the ability of visualizing everything in one place and personalizing in a thoughtful way. But I think, again, regardless of the tech stack you have, the partners you work with, I think deeply caring about the experience your customers go through doesn't take that much longer, as much as it takes thoughtfulness. And Blake mentioned kind of hide show blocks, an easy way to kind of create a meaningfully personalized experience without spending 6 months on it. But that is a little bit about my thoughts on segmentation, and kind of a little bit about Yuppo. It's a retention marketing platform, and as you can see, I think Neil would probably do a better job selling Yuppo than I will, because I'm not a salesperson, but this is the idea. But I'm excited to take part, and thank you, Blake. And I think Sarah is on our side in the chat, and we'll drop a winner for the gift card.
Eli, thank you so much, man. That was amazing and a great way to end us. I think everyone here delivered so much just tactical know-how across a lot of brands, from pre-purchase to post-purchase, and kind of narrowing everything in. And I think the big theme of efficiency, really became how do we deliver a personalized experience at scale within anything that we're communicating with our customers. So a massive thank you to literally all of our presenters, and most importantly to you. Before you all drop, I do want to call out a couple things. The $200 gift card that you all can win, I am going to drop that link right now in the chat. It's a quick 1-minute survey. Give us a ton of valuable feedback, the 5 of us, to understand how do we do today. Honestly, like, did we deliver on what you expected to come and see? So click that link in the chat right now, and you can give us your feedback and get that gift card. But most importantly, we will also follow up with the recording and the survey there as well if you need to drop in the case of that. I know we did run a little bit over, so I did want to just let everyone get that survey. And we do have a little bit of time real quickly. We're going to do 1 question each for each presenter. Just the questions that were asked. I know a ton of things were asked, so if we don't get to all of this, we will follow up with you afterwards as well. So do not fear. But I just want to kick a little bit of questions over to this group here. And I'm going to start with Mia, actually. A question came in from an anonymous user asking, how can I compare my brand's key metrics to how other brands in my industry are performing?
That's a really great question because all brands are different, all industries are different. So there is a free tool that Triple Whale offers that I recommend checking out. It's called our Trends tool. You're actually able to plug in your different marketing channels, so your Meta channel, your Google ads, Instagram ads, etc. And it'll show you how your campaigns are performing across other brands within the same size and industry as well. So you can get an idea of how are those brands performing? Are we, matching up to them? Are we underperforming? Are we, overperforming, which is great. But it offers you the ability to see how you're performing amongst others in the industry and where you can scale. So my colleague Erin just dropped that link in the chat, so you can go ahead and check out our benchmarking tool and see how your brand is comparing to others.
Awesome. Definitely check out that link there. Thanks, Mia. Eli, I want to ask you this question. I'm sure this is a question you guys get asked a lot, but it did come in from somebody. When does a loyalty program make sense for a brand to implement? I would imagine they're asking from like maybe a revenue milestone or like a maturity of the brand, but what would you recommend?
It's a good question. So I'd say that a lot of the brands that are now getting serious about loyalty are kind of looking to ease off discounting and are kind of eager to not go crazy on offering a discount at every step of the journey, but kind of keep people engaged in a meaningful way. I've seen successful loyalty programs of brands doing a couple $100,000 a year to 150, 200, 300 plus million. So I think it's less on a revenue basis as much as it is on strategic kind of thinking long term with engaging your customers. I think it's also, to the last point that I mentioned earlier, it's really important to not do a generic kind of plug and play loyalty program, because these are essentially the most loyal customers, and you may as well kind of keep them engaged in a more meaningful way than like scratch our back and I'll scratch yours. So I'd say like more important than the timing is, can you take the time, or more important than revenue scale is, can you take the time to create something meaningful that's an extension of your brand?
I think that's a great way to look at it. I definitely, as a former D2C marketer myself, asking those same questions. When we implemented, we actually did implement Yapo loyalty. So shameless plug, definitely check out Yapo if you're looking for a loyalty program. Erin, this question is for you and the Rebuy team. How do you know when your shop is ready for personalization?
Yeah, I would say it is never too early to get started with personalization. And as your brand continues to mature, that's when you can double down on it a little bit more, right? So maybe, your shop is just getting started, you're getting your first orders, right? There's still an opportunity to personalize there to at least capture data and understand who your customers are. And then from there, that's when you can get a little bit more intricate with how you're segmenting, how you're slicing, what experiments you're running for these particular segments as well too. So kind of a cop-out answer, but yesterday.
That's a great answer. I feel like yesterday, there's no better day than that. Appreciate that, Erin. Neil, a couple questions for you, but we're just going to get to one. I'll give you the rest to answer offline here. What makes a good brand candidate for a mobile app? In other words, are there key attributes that a brand should have to ensure it's an efficient channel for them? I believe this comes from Dean Lewis.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. I think many times brands get caught on a particular revenue milestone in determining whether or not an app's a fit. And maybe like 10 years ago, that was the case, right? Because there was custom development and the huge barrier from a cost perspective, but that's gone. That doesn't exist anymore, right? So anyone can launch it, but doesn't mean everyone should, right? So it's less on the revenue contribution or revenue performance, and it's more actually like understanding the quality of your customer base that's going to determine if you're a fit. So what we like to look at is like, do you have at least 10 to 15% or more of your orders coming from a returning customer, right? If that answer is yes, then you have a pre-built base for customers that might download your app. Whereas if you sell something like mattresses, right? How much of a relationship are you really building with your customer in that type of niche market? It's a little bit harder. It's kind of like a one and done purchase. And then specifically, when you think of there was a number of brands here in our conversation that asked, hey, I only have like a limited number of SKUs. Is that going to be a good fit at all for an app? The short answer is Yes, because the app can be a content play. The app can be something that helps you develop a closer relationship with that customer, learn how your customer is using that product so you can better tailor to their needs, right? When a customer is building a relationship with a brand, they just want to feel exclusive. They want to be in the know. They want to learn more. And so that's where, for a limited SKU brand or a brand that's not necessarily launching new apps, new products, month after month, can literally leverage the mobile app as a content play. I think many times we think of the website's designed to cater to anybody and everybody that's willing to make a purchase potentially, right? The app is designed for a more loyal cohort that you want to build a closer relationship with, right? They have two defined purchases. So short answer is we like to see brands that have a built-in base of customers that are coming back already.
Great answer. I definitely agree with you, Neil. Guys, this was awesome. I know we had a ton of other questions. There's one final question I'm just going to open up to this group if there's any thoughts, because I think it's a really important theme that we heard a lot and question that we got asked a lot. This is from Teresa Hopkins. She says, I always struggle when doing personalization since we basically sell a single product, but just versions of it. In this case, it's puzzles. So the thing that's changed here is maybe sizes and artwork, for example, but it's just a puzzle brand, it sounds like. It seems too limited to make it super personal. Is there any advice that you guys might offer, any of us here, I suppose, on how you could take a single product company and still do personalization at scale? Anyone, just feel free to jump in.
I'll hop in real quick. So I have some advice from a advertising perspective. So you can create, and this goes back to personalization. So creating segments of customers based on which of your ads they're clicking on and which of those, what artwork is in those ads, right? So like, I don't know exactly how the puzzles are personalized, but for example, if you offer like animal puzzles or planet puzzles, if you have your consumers who are clicking on the animal puzzles, then create a segment of those users that have clicked on those puzzles because they're probably more interested in those, and then continue creating personalized ads for that cohort of prospects, and do the same thing for all of your other personalized puzzles as well, and keep targeting them with those personalized ads for the artwork that they've clicked on. So that's one way that you can get a little bit more personalized with your advertising.
That's
I
really
think another great use case would be with the puzzle scenario is like, again, the use of the puzzle once the customer actually purchases it, right? So giving the opportunity to have different conversations via push notifications with that customer to get them to maybe potentially share what they've done, collect UGC in that process, even leverage a tool like Digio inside TapCart to be able to, maybe have a quiz or questionnaire in the app that enhances the experience, kind of merging the world between digital and physical when you're talking about the actual product usage, and then customizing the push notification strategy depending on what the responses are and who the customer is as well.
I love that, Neil. I definitely think, even further on that too, something I might recommend as well. Yeah, the quiz in the mobile app, that's a super great way to be able to understand. As Mia mentioned, you're looking at the ad side of things, and then like, what does that experience look like when they come on site? That's something we help a lot our customers at Digio with is, if we know they came from specific ads and they were engaging, like use dynamic stuff on your website, like maybe your hero image on your homepage is like, specific set of puzzle artwork that maybe they already saw on ads. That's a super quick win. On a quiz, maybe you want to help them understand, are they someone who wants to do a 2,000 piece puzzle, or do they want to do the super easy mode, like 100-piece puzzle, and kind of narrowing that down. And then you learn all this data, and you can then take that into, maybe you're using Yotpo email SMS, and you want to be able to have all that stuff feed into your retention stuff on TapCart using Rebuy. There's so many things. I feel like even all five of us here, kind of all the things we're talking about marry together really well. But even if you're a single product company, I think you just want to learn as much as you can about a customer and then deploy that in everything you have on your site and offsite. So that's what I would say from a Digio side. Aaron, I'm curious if you have any thoughts. I feel like this is like a Rebuy slam dunk potentially here too.
I love this question so much, especially at the end, because I'm thinking through how each of the presenters has discussed their use case and their thoughts on marketing efficiency. And I can totally see like, okay, like Nia's advertising play, bringing to the landing site. Maybe there's like a quiz that better understands the customer, directs them to a product on that product page. We make it frictionless. We're also recommending products based off of your store's data on what other people are purchasing, right? So you're making these data informed decisions. The customer makes the purchase, they're a loyal customer, they review it, that's then seen, they get the app, you get push notifications, we start the advertising cycle again too. So yeah, I would agree. It's a lot of taking all the pieces that we've learned today and figuring out how those pieces are going to work with your brand to create those efficiencies.
Totally. I think it's a great way to sum it up and wrap it up. I know, we could continue this conversation. I thought this could be its own event here. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know we're over. Thanks everyone for sticking with us on this. This was a really, really great opportunity for us to just hopefully share some strategies and some ideas with you around marketing efficiency. And a big thanks again to literally everyone on this call for showing up and being the best part of this entire event. I'm going to drop one more time, just if you haven't already. I know I've said this several times. But take the survey, let us know how we did. You can win a gift card, and we just really want to make these events better for you. You're going to get the recording link here shortly via email. And I think with that, that sums up our first marketing efficiency webinar. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all really soon. Thanks, everyone.